Hey everyone, it's Rob Ryder. Today is Monday, December 17th, 2018. And we're going to talk about the docket number 2018 1530, which happens to be a taxpayer informal conference docket. And in which my all caps is a real party and interest in the cause. And as far as I'm concerned, that I'm going to show you is proof that all caps is a money making business. And it's being concealed from us, but it doesn't change the fact that it is. And if we could get control of it because it's ours, well, it's our business. And hopefully, I'm going to have a chance with this taxpayer informal conference to get to the bottom of it. And so, what happened was, I got on Friday, I got some mail in an envelope like this, which said Michigan Department of Treasury, Lansing, Michigan. It's certified mail, return receipt requested, to Robert Allen Rutluski at my address, and had a docket number in the window. And, well, that isn't really where it starts. That's where it ends, where we are today. But so, if you haven't followed me before, what I had done, I do a lot of things. I've done lots of videos. If you were to look, you can see I got over 300 videos. So I try a lot of different things. And what I had done in 2017 is I had gone to the state of Michigan and registered my all caps as a business. And they gave me a business sales tax license number. And it started with a TR, Tom Robert, because I didn't have an EIN number yet. I hadn't done an EIN number yet as a sole proprietor. But then later on, towards the end of 2017, in December, I did get a EIN number as a sole proprietor in my all caps. And then I went back to the state and said, well, I have it now. And they tied my, now I do have an EIN number for my all caps, and I want to have that replace the TR number, which they did. Well, then after that, I started to play with the addresses of these different entities. And I ended up getting some notices in the mail about an assessment. And so one of the things you could do if you got this assessment was to ask for a informal conference, which I did. Now, that was all happening back in August, and now we're here at December. I'm getting this mail that says on the 16th of January, 2019, I can be a party to this informal conference. So we'll look at what all that is here in just a second. That's just kind of a synopsis of the things we'll be looking at, but let's just look at some definitions first. So, right, because they called it a conference I'm going to be part of. Well, a conference in practice is the meeting of the parties or their attorneys in a cause for the purpose of endeavoring to settle the same. Okay, I'm not arguing with that. And the person that they say is going to do it is a person called a referee. And a referee is a person who has been referred a matter in dispute in order that he may settle it. His judgment is called an award. I need to still go look at the definition of award, so we'll go look at that in a second. But referred means to reference, and reference in contracts is an agreement to submit to certain arbitrators matters in dispute between two or more parties for their decision and judgment. The person to whom such a matter is referred are sometimes called referees. Well, hey, I think that's what's happening. But there's more than one definition of reference. So another one is mercantile law, a direction or request by a party to ask a credit to the person from whom he expects it to call on some other person named in order to ascertain the character or mercantile standing of the former. The character of mercantile standing of the former. Okay? I don't really understand that one yet. But another one is reference in practice is the act of sending any matter by a court of chancery or one exercising equitable powers. So that could be a court of exchequer, which is the other court that has equitable powers. And that's what Treasury is. It would be in the Court of Exchequer, because it has to do with the King's revenue. Okay? Now, this is all based on the laws of England, Blackstone's commentaries and laws of England and Wales, a basis of what our nation was formed on. The common law still applies here in the United States of America, yada, yada, yada. So, an act of sending any matter by a court of chancery or one exercising equitable powers to a master or other officer in order that he may ascertain facts and report to the court. By reference is also understood that part of an instrument or writing where it points to another for matters therein contained. For the effect of such reference, a thing referred to is also called a reference. So when they incorporate things by reference, that's this instrument of writing where it points to another for the matters therein contained. You may have one instrument that says that they're going to incorporate by reference some law or act or something else, and they didn't put the whole thing in. You'd have to go look at the thing to see what it is. And it could be a sentence, it could be a page, it could be a book, just as much as it is. But that's something that's incorporated by reference. But this idea of taking something from a court of chancery or a court of exchequer to a master or other officer in order that he may ascertain the facts and report to the court. Well, that sounds, like a viable thing that I'm involved in. So we'll see where this goes. Let's finish the details first. So my email address, Rob Ryder's email address, is courtofrecord@aol.com, courtofrecord@aol.com. Phone number 616-712-6179. If you can, pay it forward, tithe, charity, donate, whatever you call it, to help me out, because I could certainly use it. I can't pay my rent, and it's Christmas time. I can't believe it. Well, that's why I say every time I'm doing a video, I can't pay my rent. Just seems to be the way it is. Well, if you can help, one way is by PayPal account, and that would be sending it to robryder@aol.com. If you'd rather use your credit or debit card, well, we could do that and have it paid through PayPal through a request for money, and that means you send me an email to courtofrecord@aol.com and say that you would like to donate and how much you'd like to donate, and then I send you a request to your email using PayPal, and then you can just use your card. Or there's always the mail. Robert Allen Ratluski, 10955 14 Mile Road Northeast, Rockford, Michigan, 49341-8664. Of course, Rob Ryder's my avatar. My full legal name is Robert Allen Ratluski. Used in all legal matters. If you're not using that, you are not talking to me. And if you're not using your full legal name, well, then what you're doing isn't legal. Good things to remember. Well, we had some more definitions, but we'll get back to those in a second. So, again, if you can, please pay it forward, tithe, charity, donate. Thank you very much for all of those who have in the past, who continually do. Amen, amen, amen. I wouldn't be here doing this today without you. And I'm going to show you that your all caps is a business. Don't let them tell you different. The problem is that we don't have control of it. So where to start? Where to start? Let's start with what I got in the mail. And so this was the letter that came in the mail. To Robert Allen Ratluski, 10955 14 Mile Road Northeast, Unit 55, Rockford, Michigan, 49341-8664. The Unit 55, if you haven't been following along, that is your delivery point, right? It's a single mailbox. It's very specific, right? And if you live in a single family home, it's the last two digits of your house number. Even if you only have one house number, then it's 0 with the last number. But that's what your unit is. And that should make for a physical address, because a unit is a physical address location, like a suite, room, those type of things. And so this is something I had done even later than all these other things I'm going to be talking about. But trying to define my address to be a specific place. And because I have been playing with the address, I think I got mail that I probably shouldn't have had, but so be it. But I got this mail on December 12th. Here's when it was mailed. It says date and time on January 16th, 2019 at 1 p.m. I'm going to have a hearing with a hearing referee named Elizabeth Avery. And she has a telephone number. I haven't called her yet, but that's coming. I'm just getting this out of the way so I can get into what I'm going to do with this now that I have it. Your informal conference has been assigned to Elizabeth Avery. I don't believe that to be her full legal name. In fact, I'm quite sure it isn't. Hearing referee, and is scheduled for January 16, 2019, 1 p.m. This is a telephone conference. To participate, you must call the hearings division on the date of the informal conference as listed above. Please provide factual exhibits or legal memoranda to be considered during the informal conference to the hearing referee at least 5 business days prior to the informal conference. Please be aware that late submissions may delay the resolution of the docket. Well, that's why I'm going to call Elizabeth to make sure I have her address correct, to send her my information. Requests for changes in date and time must be made in writing, received at least 48 hours prior to the informal conference, and will only be granted for reasonable cause. If you do not appear at set date and time without requesting an adjourned in writing, the conference will proceed in your absence. Please notify the hearing division in writing prior to scheduling an informal conference if you wish to withdraw your request for a conference. Please be informed. Per the informal conference rules, the following options are available to you. You may appear by telephone as indicated above. You may submit a written statement containing the facts, a discussion of law, and the legal arguments that you would have presented had you participated in the informal conference to the hearing referee prior to the date and time set for the informal conference in lieu of appearing by telephone or in person. Okay, so you can either show up in person, do it on telephone, or send them the stuff apparently through the mail, whatever your facts are going to be. You are entitled to have an attorney or other person represent you at the informal conference. However, if you wish our office to discuss the matter with anyone outside of your presence, you must file an authorized representative declaration power prior to your informal conference. This available at this website. So I'm thinking of doing one of these, making the Attorney General my attorney, and have him send him a copy of everything. Right, the Attorney General of the state. The informal conference process is governed by Taxpayer Bill of Rights. Check, found it. Okay, and you will have an opportunity to present reasons for your appeal, support with legal authority and evidence. While testimony will not be taken under oath, matters alleged as facts may be presented in affidavits. Well, these hearing officers, as it turns out, can give oaths, so I'm going to make her give me one. I do want to put mine under oath. Individuals needing accommodations for effective participation in the informal conference should call the hearing division, yada, 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 blah, 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 forms of material. So I got things to figure out yet with all this, and who Nancy Hill is and why she got a copy of this. But, right, this came from the state of Michigan, Rick Snyder, Governor, Department of Treasury. It didn't come from the Department of Treasury. It came from the state of Michigan, Department of Treasury. Right, it didn't come from the Michigan Department of Treasury. It came from the state of Michigan Department of Treasury. Just things to remember, and it has to do with this docket number and these intents that I had received in the mail. For the tax period 12/17 for Michigan use tax and Michigan sales tax. So that was the letter that I just got that has to do with the things I had done previous. And maybe we should look at what these tax bills look like. So back in August 10th, these were mailed. Right, and it had an assessment number. There's actually 2 of these, right? But they look about the same. They have an assessment number. They have an account number. Um, they have a number to call for business taxes, and it says this is issued under Public Act 122 of 1941. Right? Check. Need to keep an eye on that. We may need to use that. And this is for Michigan sales tax, which said that I owed in 2017, right at the end of 2017, I owed $5,400 in sales tax. So that would be the tax that I collected, right? Because the reason we're getting the sales tax license at the time is, well, I'm the taxpayer. When I go participate in retail, I'm paying for things, right? So I'm paying the tax. So I don't have to collect it. I'm not selling anything. Well, the only reason it seems to me I would owe a sales tax is I was supposed to have collected it. What did I buy that I didn't pay tax on? At the tune of $5,400, because if we did the math on this, 5,400 times 0.06, because that's the sales tax in Michigan. No, I think it's divided by, right? Divided by 0.06. That's $90,000, right? So where's the $90,000 that was run through my business? I didn't do it. I haven't had any money in years. Well, and as we'll see, I mean, they're basing this on information they have, is what they say. So, but hey, that's what it is, right? So apparently, I did $90,000 worth of business. So I get this assessment, and hey, you can just go ahead and pay it if you want to, right? And there's my account number, right? Taxpayer name, Robert Allen Rutluski, with that account number. Well, that isn't me as a living man. I got a Social Security number. That's my all caps. That has that 82 number there. That's my EIN number. Now they've added the F to it. They being the state or whomever. I didn't do that, but that's my account number based on my EIN. So this is my business. It isn't me. So I had one for sales tax. And then here on the back, it talked about, well, if you don't agree, the things you can do, and informal conference request. That's what I did. And hey, now I'm having one. And here's the second one with a different assessment number, but the same account. This other information is the same place, same. Another $5,400 in taxes due. But this is use tax, right? This is like excise taxes. So the one was sales taxes, and the other one is use taxes. They hit me for $5,400 on both of them. So I don't know if those are two different things. They should be, right? So a use tax is something I'm using, and a sales tax is, based on a purchase, I guess. And just a second. Okay, so hey, I'd gotten these things. Now what am I going to do with them? And that's where we're.
Hey, how you doing?
Find out.
I introduced myself. I'm from the Gonzalez
Okay.
family.
So hang on just a second. They made me lose my train of thought when the phone call came, so I need to regroup for just a second and get some more papers up. Hang on. Okay, so the question would be to people who have followed me, because they've done the same thing, and they're going to say, well, I didn't get this, right? They've also gone and gotten an EIN number and maybe registered with the state, getting these things done. But they didn't necessarily get these. Now, what I was doing at the time when I got these, see, this is August 10th, right, is when this thing was mailed. And what I was doing at the time is I was playing with my address. right? Because this is the Michigan change of address voter registration form. And I have a state ID. I don't have a driver's license, right? But I have a state ID. That's my ID number and all my pertinent information. And I don't have a middle name. I have a given name. It's Robert Allen. It always goes in the first name box. I don't have a middle initial. Don't have a middle name. I have Robert Allen, right? That's my Christian name. But if you look at this form when you're reading it, so this is if you're going to change your address, it says on here street and number, or RR and box number. Right? It doesn't say number and street, it says street and number. So if I did it that way, I'd say, well, I live on 14 Mile Road. But what I was doing at the time was saying, okay, they want my residence address. And my residence is Oakfield Township. And if I go look at Oakfield Township website, right, and I'm looking at this thing, and I come down here, and it says Oakfield Township. 10300 14 Mile Road, Rockford, Michigan, 49341. That's the address for the place that I live. I live in Oakfield Township. That's its mailing address. That's why I was looking at it. Or it's its physical address. Well, whatever it was, because I can. I said, well, I'll go ahead and fill out a form and I'll send it in and see what happens. So I did. I put 14 Mile Road, 1300 again, because it said street and number, not number and street. But I wanted my residence address to have something to do with Oakfield Township. So that's what I used. But I put my mailing address as 10955, which is my mailing address, which, I did this backwards also because it says street and number. See, when you're doing residence address, it has a county, right? So I put Kent County in with the zip. But my mailing address, it doesn't have a place to put in Kent County, but it has a place to put in a +4 zip code. Actually, I didn't take it, but I put it in anyways. Check here, right? So I did this on the 18th. So this is, before I got the bills. I had done this. Are you a citizen of the United States of America? No. Will you be 18 years of age on or before election day? Yes. If you answered no, I can't do C or D. Okay, I can't do C, I can't do D. But then I had this thing for voter declaration, right? And I said, well, that really isn't in D. This is after D. So I'm going to go ahead and sign this one because I am a citizen of the United States. Remember, this one said, are you a citizen of the United States of America? No, but I am a citizen of the United States. I say I am. I'm a resident of the state of Michigan. I say I am. I am over 18. I'm authorized cancellation for previous registration. Yada, 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 best of my knowledge. Hey, it is. I believe it. I've never been questioned on it. Okay, so I did this, and then soon after, I get mail on the 30th, right? So this is before the tax bill comes. Robert Allen Ratluski, 10955, 14 Mile Road Northeast, Rockford, Michigan, da-da-da-da-da. And it said in there, our office has recently been notified that your address has changed. Your Michigan driver's license or personal identification has been updated with the following address. 14 Mile Road, 10300, Rockford, Michigan. If this is correct, please disregard this letter. Right? So at the time I did. But, they had sent it to the mailing address that I had put on the change. Kind of. Right? It's got the right things on there. And asked me that question. But they sent me another one also, which was to Robert Allen Ratluski at 14 Mile Road, 1300, 10300, Rockford, Michigan. And the post office, right, they wrote 10955 with a question mark on it, and they put it into my box at my house at 10955 because, well, that's where the mail from Robert Allen Ratluski comes. But this is what the Secretary of State did. They took that address and they put it on the front of a mail. And it got delivered to me. And it had change of address label, right? 14 Mile Road 10300, Rockford, Michigan 49341. So I'd put that on the back of my card. Now, since then, I've changed it even some more times, right? But at the time, these are the things I had done, and then this is all at the end of July, and then in the 8/10/2018, I'm getting these letters. So I don't know why I got them, right? Except for the fact that I changed the physical address of my business. Oh, shoot. I closed it somehow. Got rid of the form. Is it in there? Yeah, I didn't keep it. Anyways, okay. Hang on just a second. Okay, so here's that form, right, that I had done on 7/18. It said my residence address was this, and I can't believe I keep shutting those off. Hang on just a second. Right, I get this one mailed to me on the 30th that they put in my box. They didn't actually deliver it to the address that's on the front of it. They delivered it to me. And then they also sent me one to my address saying that they had changed my address to this address here. And all those things happened, right? So next thing I know, I'm getting these tax bills. And that's where we were. And then these tax bills say that, they're issued under this PA number. And so that's what we're going to look at next. Well, what does it mean? Where are we at? So give me 1 second and I'll have that loaded up. Okay, so here is that law. Revenue Division of the Department of Treasury, Act 122 of 1941. Stop at page 15. Okay, I haven't looked at everything, but just the first 15 pages. Department as agency responsible for tax collection. Means of staff permanently qualified. Blah, 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 blah. Any reference to the Department of Revenue in this act or any other act shall mean the state treasurer. Any reference to the state commissioner or of revenue in this act or any other act shall mean the state treasurer. And so what I'm wondering is, when I look at this thing, it's from the state of Michigan, Rick Schneider, Governor, Department of Treasury. Does that make him the treasurer? Because it doesn't have the state treasurer's name on here. So it's just interesting how they sent the mail, how this thing is headed at the top. State of Michigan, Department of Treasury. If we were to look online, it would be called the Michigan Department of Treasury. Michigan Treasurer, things like that. They don't say State of Michigan. Department of State Treasurer, powers and duties. The State Treasurer, or duly appointed agent of the State Treasurer, may examine the books, records, and papers touching on matters at issue on any person or taxpayer subject to any tax, unpaid account, or money, the collection of which is charged to the department. The State Treasurer or a duly appointed agent of the State Treasurer may issue a subpoena requiring a person to appear and be examined with reference to a matter within the scope of inquiry and investigation being conducted by the department to produce any books, records, or papers. I'm liking it already. The State Treasurer or a duly appointed agent, referee, or examiner of the State Treasurer may administer an oath to a witness, I'm not a defendant, I am a witness, in any matter before the department, The department may invoke the aid of the circuit court of this state in requiring the attendance and testimony of witnesses and producing of books, papers, and documents. The circuit court of this state, within the jurisdiction of which any inquiry is carried on, and in case of contumacy or refusal to obey a subpoena, may issue an order requiring a person to appear before the department and produce books, papers, or so, blah, blah, evidence, yada, yada, yada. Failure to obey the order of the court be punished by court as contempt. A person shall not be excused from testifying. Don't you have to testify under oath? Is there any other way to testify than under oath? I don't think so. Shall not be excused from testifying or from producing any books, papers, records, or memoranda in any investigation or upon any hearing when ordered to do so by a state treasurer upon grounds of testimony or evidence, documentary otherwise, which may lead to incriminate subject him to a criminal penalty. However, a person shall not be prosecuted or subject to any criminal penalty for or on account of any transaction made or thing concerning which he or she may testify or produce evidence, document otherwise before the department or its agents. Wow. A person should not be prosecuted or subject to any criminal penalty for or on account of any transaction made or thing concerning which he or she may testify or produce evidence, documentary or otherwise, before the department. So it's like, well, they could bring they could unload the truth and not have to go to jail for it. That's what this, like they're out for them to tell you the truth and not have to go to jail for it. Because somebody's been stealing your property from you. Now, one thing is they're talking about hearings in here, and I'm going to a conference. And, is there a difference between a hearing and a conference? Well, hearings are done in courts, and conferences, I think, are done in arbitration. Just looking at the definitions. Electronic filing of requests for rulemaking. That wasn't anything of interest. Brochure listing and explanation of taxpayers' protections and recourses. Communication concerning determination or collection of tax. Excuse me. And so they talked about having a brochure that was made up in something else I read. So I need to find that thing. So one of my questions is like, well, who are the parties of interest? I know I am, but who's the other parties of interest? And what's their full legal name? And what's their frickin' physical address? What's their mailing address? So, yeah, I need to look at this brochure to see what kind of protections or recourses I have. Identification of refund opportunity by auditor. Notification to taxpayer. Because, for this to have been produced, for these documents to have been created, somebody had to, do an audit. If during the course of an audit authorized under this act, an auditor identifies a refund opportunity for the taxpayer, the auditor shall notify the taxpayer of that refund opportunity in a timely manner. I haven't gotten that yet. The taxpayer may then claim refund under the provisions of this act. Or, my unknown partner who actually has control of my estate got the letter, and I didn't get it. Neither the auditor nor any other department employee shall be required to provide detailed transaction support for refund claims. You have to understand, right, that this is all for something that happened in 2017 where I didn't even claim until the second half of 2017 that I had a business called Robert Allen Ritlewski. Right? So has this always been there? Because that's how it looks. Like this entity has always existed. It just isn't tied to you. And that by going to the tax man at the state and claiming it and saying, well, Robert Allen Ritlewski is me. That's my business. And doing it with an EIN as a sole proprietor, which then ties your social security number to the EIN, to the business, to tie the owner, Robert Allen Rutluski, with the business, Robert Allen Rutluski. See what I'm saying? Now they're all tied together. And now I got some mail. Bulletin or letter ruling, reliance on by taxpayer definitions. A taxpayer may rely on a bulletin or letter ruling issued by a department after September 30th and shall not be penalized. So maybe I'll try to get one of those, right? A letter ruling. Means a formal document issued by the department to specific taxpayer on a specific tax matter related to a future transaction. A taxpayer shall request a letter ruling on a form and in a manner prescribed by the department. Awarding damages, conditions, limitations. If the department intentionally or recklessly disregards a provisional law, rule, or written guideline, like, telling me, hey, I may have a refund, or telling me this was my property in the first place, or procedure of the department in connection with the determination, collection of refund of tax, interest, penalty under the Tax Act, or tax administered under this act, the taxpayer may be awarded actual damages, including reasonable attorney fees sustained as a result of the department's actions. An award under this section shall not exceed $10,000. Letters and notices sent to taxpayers' official representatives. If a taxpayer files with the department a written request that copies of letters and notices regarding a dispute with the taxpayer be sent to the taxpayer's official representative, the department shall send the official representative at the address designated by the taxpayer in written request a copy of such letter or notice sent to the taxpayer. Okay, so I'm going to get a copy, and so is the Attorney General of the state of Michigan, because I'm going to make him my representative. Or maybe I'll make it I should make it the governor. The governor acting as treasurer is the same as the Queen of England now, right? Because of the Treaty of Peace, 1783, in which King George III says him and his successors that one of his kingdoms is the United States of America, but he also claims to hold the office of Arch-Treasurer of the Holy Roman Empire, and is seen as the governor of the church, or governess of the church. So the governor being the arch-treasurer over the state would be like a wheel on a wheel compared to King George III being the arch-treasurer of the Holy Roman Empire. Right? The state is just a province in the Holy Roman Empire. Administration enforcement of laws by the Department of Treasury, powers and duties. Yeah, well, they can enforce the laws. So the Department of Human Services and its designee are vested with all the powers, duties, functions, responsibilities, and jurisdiction of the Department of Treasury under this Act for the enforcement, investigation, and collection of support owed by to the state. Hey, that would be child support. All right, so child support. The powers of the collection office are given to the Department of Human Resources to collect. Well, but if they're not doing it right, well then that would fall into this part right here, that awarding damages, conditions, and limitations. So that the place to take your complaint about child support isn't to child support or the court, it's to take it to the Treasury, to the Department of Human Resources. I wonder what page is this now? This is page 6. Let's go see. Did they define who the Department of Human Resources is in the definitions? Department means Department of Treasury. Well, it doesn't really help me. So who's the Department of Human Resources? Well, the person to ask is the taxpayer advocate once you become a taxpayer. Right? Your all caps is the taxpayer. And if you're a taxpayer, well, then you should be protected by Caesar because you're the one paying Caesar's tax. That was the reason for doing it in the first place, to say, hey, I'm a taxpayer. I'm paying Caesar's tax. I'm the one who pays the sales tax in retail transaction, and the sales tax is the tax to the state. That's Caesar's tax. Right? I'm paying it. I'm not collecting it. Now they're saying I owe it for some reason. Well, we're going to find out why. What papers are they looking at that I don't have? And I have a way to do that in here. Where are you at? Ah, here we go. Fairly refusing to make payment. So if a taxpayer fails or refuses to make a return or payment as required, in whole or in part, or if the department has reason to believe that the return made or payment does not supply sufficient information for accurate determination of the amount of tax due, the department may obtain information on which to base an assessment of the tax. By its duly authorized agents, the department may examine the books, records, papers, and audit the accounts of the persons or any other records pertaining to the tax. A taxpayer who has been audited by the department or its agent, or a taxpayer whose books, records, papers have been examined by the department, shall upon request be provided a complete copy in printed or electronic format of the complete audit work, papers, and audit report findings. And they still haven't sent them to me, but I have asked for those. Right? Because they did this, I get to see the frickin' papers. Them not doing it means they're not following their own damn law. Yeah, we just read it up there earlier. And, right, here's the assessment number. So I have been assessed. I've been assessed twice. VA1 TN1S and VA1 TN1T. Hey, they're like one after another. Bada boom, bada bing. So, a taxpayer who has been audited by the department or its agent, or a taxpayer whose books, records, or papers have been examined by the department shall, upon request, be provided a complete copy of the printed electronic format of the completed audit work, papers, and the audit report of the findings. I want those. Any audit performed by the department or its duly authorized agents under 3A shall be performed in accordance with auditing standards, which shall include, but not limited to, confidentiality, technical training, independence, due professional care, planning and supervision, understanding the entity audited, including internal control and assessment of risk, audit evidence and documentation, yada, yada, yada. In carrying out this section of the department, the taxpayer shall comply with the following procedure. The department shall send to the taxpayer a letter of inquiry stating in a courteous, non-intimidating manner that the department's opinion the taxpayer needs to furnish further information or owes taxes to the state and the reason for that opinion. The taxpayer, or a letter of inquiry, shall also explain the procedures by which a person may initiate communication with the department to resolve any dispute. The subdivision does not apply in any of the following circumstances. Okay? If the dispute is not resolved within 30 days after the department sends the taxpayer a letter of inquiry, or the letter of inquiry is not required pursuant to A, then the department, after determining the amount of tax due from the taxpayer, shall give notice to the taxpayer of its intent to assess the tax. And that's what these things are called. These are called intents, right? So that's where I am. We didn't do A, because I don't know that I got the thing they're talking about for A, right? This non-threatening letter. No, I got this A. I got a notice. Intent to assess a tax. The notice shall include the amount of the tax the department believes the taxpayer owes, the reason for that deficiency, and a statement advising the taxpayer of a right to an informal conference, the requirement of a written request for the taxpayer for the informal conference. That includes the taxpayer's statement of contested amounts, explanation of the dispute, and 60-day limit for that request. I believe I've done that already because I'm having a hearing or a conference, not a hearing, a conference. If the taxpayer serves written notice upon the department within 60 days that the taxpayer receives a notice of intent to assess, remits the uncontested portion. Well, I contested the whole thing and provides a statement of the contested amounts. Entitled informal conference, yada, yada, yada. Upon receipt of the notice. It goes on and on. But basically, that's where we are, right? I've requested it. And according to this, they have to have given me, and they still haven't given me, the audit findings. Where's the part about the audit? Where are you? I was still on the same page. Right here. They haven't given me that. I don't know what they used to decide that I owe $5,400 in sales tax and $5,400 in use tax. But they did. And it's for $7,200 for use because you got your penalties and your interest. And for $6,870 because you got your penalties and your interest for the sales tax. So they must be different numbers because they have different penalties and interest attached to them. So, I don't know why they picked them, but they used those numbers for a reason. And I would say, well, they use those numbers because that's what it was the year before. And somebody else is doing this in the background, whatever this is, and that it has something to do with the township because this all happened because I used my township as part of my address. And more than that, I really can't explain it. I don't know that I'm going to try to. Right? What I did is I contested the assessments to the Treasury tax policy. Right? I found all this information online that says I contest bills for tax due, intent to assess for account, right? Having assessment number, blah, blah, issued that date. I've attached the image of these bills as part of this notice. Page 2 of the form says I have to contact these offices, right? It gives these particular names of the offices, but so it says Michigan Department of Treasury, Office of Hearings, Lansing, Michigan, but there is no Michigan Department of Treasury, Office of Hearings. It's called the Michigan Department of Treasury Hearings Division, right? But there's Michigan Department of Treasury. It's not called State of Michigan Department of Treasury. So you got two different venues. You got, it's like Kent County, Michigan, and State of Michigan, County of Kent, State of Michigan. County of Kent, State of Michigan isn't the same as Kent County, Michigan. They're two different venues. Well, that's what we have going here. Michigan Department of Treasury is different than the State of Michigan Department of Treasury. Or these people aren't using their full legal name because, they're using that name on here. Right? So is this the full legal name, State of Michigan Department of Treasury? Or is it Michigan Department of Treasury? Questions to have them answer because, hey, I can have people subpoenaed. I can have them put under oath. I can have myself put under oath. I can swear I say that's my property and it's being withheld from me. I don't think there's anything else on here. They're just telling them, hey, all these different places I could find. I told them the same thing. The state treasurer, the hearings office. I think I sent one to the tax advocate and so forth. So that's where we are today, other than um, I sent an email to the taxpayer advocate this morning, or actually last night, from my business, right, with me as the owner, to the taxpayer advocate about the docket, in which I said, taxpayer advocate, on 12/14/2018, I signed for a certified mail letter pertaining to my business, Robert Allen Radlewski, F823654127, and docket number 20181530, regarding an informal conference scheduled for January 16th, 2019. I attach a copy of this email. There are a number of items I need your assistance with regarding this matter. Number one, I would like a complete copy of the docket entries, exhibits, and other documents that are incorporated by reference into this matter. Number two, the full legal name, physical address, and mailing address for all parties to this docket conference. Number three, I need a copy of the hearing referee roll of attorney certificate. Because, as it turns out, that lady is on the roll of attorneys. And she's on the bar, and she is using her full legal name. Most times on the bar, you don't see them using their full legal name, but she is. Or it appears, because she has a middle name on there. I need a copy of the hearing referee oath of office, and I need a copy of the hearing referee certificate of appointment. Right? You're going to play judge, you better have the paperwork to play judge. And I need the contact information for the State of Michigan Department of Treasury chaplain, who should be there to make sure that they're morally following the rules, which is a whole other series of videos I might be doing here. We're trying to see if there's any relief going to the chaplain of the county to tell them what's happening in your court case or whatever is a simulated legal process that offends the United States. Because the chaplain is there for the cure of souls of the people in that voluntary association, for lack of a better term. And so, right, if they're bearing false witness, well, that's an offense against the commandment. So we're going to see what the chaplain can do about it. Time is of the essence, as there are two major holidays between now and the scheduled hearing date. Please expedite my request. Right, so that was the simple thing to do with them. I'm waiting to see what they have. I do want to go back now after looking at this stuff again and tell them that since they did this, I'm supposed to be able to get a copy of the audit information. Right, so see if I can get those subpoenaed somehow. Because can't find the part where it says, well, they have to give it to you. It was one of these that we talked about. Powers and duties, maybe. So, very good. And all that started because I had changed my address, my residence address on my state ID to match Oakfield Township, because your residence is your place, and your place isn't necessarily your specific house. It's like a city or a village or something like that. It's, a larger area. Maybe it's the area that's in a zip code. Or maybe it's Oakfield Township. And I used my normal address, my address here is my mailing address. Now, I have since gone and changed all of these. None of them are the same, but at the time when this was sent to me, this is how I had done it. I had used this address, but I had put 14 Mile Road 10300 because it said street and number. Right? And that was my residence address in Kent County, was the name of the county. And then my mailing address was, more or less my mailing address as it is today. So Very good. I'll keep you updated on how it goes. But if you wanted to know if your all caps, hey, if you can, pay it forward by the chance. If you wanted to know if your all caps is a business, well, they're saying it is. This is going to my business entity, not to my Social Security account entity. And that's proof that all caps is a money-making business because they're charging me tax. And apparently, they must have the evidence because they put the numbers down. Uh, cause, because one of the things they talked about was the cause. It is a consideration or motive for making a contract. An obligation without a cause or with a false or unlawful cause has no effect. Right? But an engagement is not the less valid through the cause be not expressed. The cause is illicit when it is forbidden by law, when it is against morals, basically, and against the public order. Well, that's what I'm going to say their cause for if they're going to say their cause is just for taxing me for sales tax and excise tax on my all caps name, then they're going to have to show me where the asset is because I'd like to have control of the asset. I don't have it right now. Somebody else is controlling my asset. Okay, y'all have a great day, and we'll see where this goes. See you.